So the difference between a first meeting and a first date from someone you meet online is significant. We're going to talk about that today and what that difference is. First, make sure to subscribe by hitting the button below, and then of course that alert bell, don't forget that, because it's going to alert you to all future videos. So today, we're going to talk about the difference between a first meeting and a first date from someone you meet online. There is a difference, and it's important for you to know and be super aware of. So here it is. When you meet someone from online, you want to evaluate this man for the possibility of a date. Here's an important factor. He thinks it's a date, and you need to make it a feeling of a date, knowing that it's simply a first meeting. Confused? Yes, it can be. But it is important to start calling it that in your mind and use the word meeting with him. So, what I mean by that is that in my online dating program, One Love, Online to Never-Ending Love, 7 simple steps to digital dating success. I talk about this at length with women in my program because it is important to know the difference and to navigate that first meeting to the best place for the first meeting. And you'll see me talk about this in subsequent videos. The next one you can watch is about the difference between meeting for coffee and not. Very significant, because you don't want to meet for coffee, and I'll tell you why in that video. So where do we stand in terms of knowing the difference between a meeting and a first date? Here it is. Very simple. After a man has met you, he likes you, and then he asks you out, that's a date. Before that, it's a meeting. Now, the nuance of this. You can call it a meeting when he says, would you like to meet? Sure. If during the phone call you have with him, believe it or not, in my program, I help women to actually get to a phone call very simply, very easily, where the man is calling to introduce himself to you to get a first meeting / what he believes to be a date. This is a psychological concept for the man that you must understand, and that you can understand via my Mechanics of Men and my talking about on my Make Him Wonder, my podcast. There's 60 podcasts there you can go and listen, but you want to understand that the deepest brain of males are what Freud quantified for us all in terms of Freud's Madonna-whore complex, which is now called the Madonna-whore dichotomy. And why it is so incredibly significant that a man reaches out to you in a phone call so that he introduces himself prior to you agreeing to meet is monumental. And it is a game changer. It's a game changer to set you up for winning, to set you up for complete commitment, because of the category in which the man will place you by you making that phone call an important first step that he must jump. You've heard me talk about my 3 C's of men. They are all about challenge, competition, and conquering. This is a challenge for him that he must achieve your time, even in text, then the phone call to introduce himself, because you are showing him a very important thing about you valuing yourself. That I don't just go and meet a stranger who is behind a screen online with whom I've just texted. I wouldn't do that. I will only meet a man who is manly enough, in some ways sophisticated enough, in some ways classy enough, in some ways just being the natural male who you want him to be, to make a phone call to you to say, she is of value enough that I need to introduce myself, have a short conversation, and then ask her for a date, which to you is just a first meeting. If you follow me at all, you will hear much more about the significance, the deeper meaning in all of this for the man. One thing I talk about all the time on my podcast, certainly in my online dating program, coaching of women, it is, you don't want to waste your time. That's what online dating is all about, not wasting your valuable time, giving your valuable time, attention, and even affection to men who have not achieved it, and in many ways know whether or not they deserve it. So this first meeting, you must understand, is not for you the feeling of a date. It is really another form of vetting this man, and you're not going to have as many meetings. You want to have really great meetings that lead to first dates. After he's met you, then he asks you out. That is a date for you. Now, again, he's going to call it perhaps a date. And in our vernacular, we use, I have an online date. But remember, first meeting, not a date. Follow me to get my next videos. Click on that red alert button because, for example, my next video is about going to coffee or not on a first date meeting. Don't want to do it. And I tell you why. And in subsequent videos, I'll be telling you the best place to meet for a first meeting / he believes date, because we need to put him in the mode of achieving. Don't forget that. If he feels he is on a meeting, right, it's not so fulfilling for him to achieve. And a coffee meeting feels just like that, a meeting. I'll give you a little hint. Feels like a friend. Feels like what you do with a colleague. Not sexy and not what you want to be doing. So go to that video and learn more of why it is that you don't want to meet for coffee. So I'll be doing more on where you want to meet and how you want to meet and the energy you bring to the first meeting. Until then, make sure that you continually make him wonder by listening to my podcast. Make him wonder. You can scroll through the 60 episodes. It's on all listening platforms, and you can find out much more by looking at the titles there and finding out more and more about online dating. Also, give me your comments below, because I know there are going to be people out there that say, oh no, it was a first date from the start and it was sparks from the start. Here's what I want you to remember, ladies, that slow and steady wins with men. Slow and steady, showing your value, showing up in a way that you are lovely, wonderful fun, but also showing that man that you are vetting him for any future possibilities. And then when he asks you for the first date, it's what you do from there. So continue to follow me, because I'm going to give you a lot of advice, tips, and hints for online dating. Until then, don't forget to make him wonder.